People power growth, but recruiting and onboarding are expensive, exhausting, and absolutely overwhelming. I've been there, and it doesn't have to be this way. Welcome to Hire and Empower. I'm your host, Molly McGrath. Join me as we interview leaders who care about their teams and distill powerful lessons from them. This show is sponsored by H&E, helping organizations to find their best hire and empower them for success. Learn more at hiringandempowering.com. All right, here we are. We are back. And guess what we're talking about? Every law firm's favorite subject, which is marketing, which is connection, which is conversions, which is how content, messaging. And I'm so excited to have a legal expert here with us from Spotlight Branding. Welcome, John. Thank you for being our guest.
Thank you for having me. Really excited to come and do this with you.
Yeah, absolutely. I was really excited when I found Spotlight Branding many years ago from another law firm owner who was sharing the success that they were having since that time, just being on a lot of your own internal marketing lists that you have. And I'm just following you all on social media and then working with many, many law firms that work with your organization. And I'm just really excited with the message that you put out. It's just very authentic. And very different than anything that I've seen in the 25 years that I've been working with law firms and the marketing agencies that they work with. So John Hinson, tell us a little bit about Spotlight Branding.
Yeah, so we are a content marketing company, and kind of why I say it like that, and we'll get into this, I think, as this episode goes along, but I think, most marketing companies out there, whether they focus on the legal industry or not, they're primarily focused on search engines, and SEO, search engine optimization. That's going to be the primary service that most law firm owners, most business owners get pitched. And the narrative for a really long time has been, you got to focus on search engines. That's how you have marketing success. And what we found and what we decided is that's not necessarily the case. You don't have to do that. And especially if you're a solo or a small firm, it doesn't make a lot of sense to spend thousands of dollars every month on search engines when it's real limited real estate. And you can instead focus on content, elevating your expertise, and most importantly, driving those referrals, because I think we can all agree referrals make the best clients. Why not try to maximize those first and get the most out of your network before you then try to add on any other additional cold lead generation, stuff like that. And so that's what we do. We help drive referrals. We help you attract the right kinds of clients through content marketing. So that's going to be blogging, social media, emails, videos, website, things on your website. And we also actually just launched podcast production as a service last year. So we are helping law firms build their own podcast now.
Oh, fantastic. And I think now more than ever, and I love today's topic of marketing to humans instead of robots. And to your point, most law firms do not have the budget, first and foremost, for SEO and spending a tremendous amount of money on a lot of these initiatives that are helpful and they do work. But again, going to your message, I think since COVID, since the pandemic, since everybody, virtually every company got online, whether they liked it or not, and the messaging, you receive the emails every single day, see the ads through your feeds on the different various social channels and how inauthentic they are. And you can very clearly see that it is really just marketing to your statement that you say to bots versus humans. So I would love for you to just share with us on what that means for you, and maybe some tips and tricks and drive-by coaching that you could give to our listeners of how to really have that content and that messaging that is speaking into others listening in a way that makes a difference for them, i.e. human connection in your content versus just, this whole SEO algorithm strategy that everybody's preaching from the mountaintops.
Yeah. So imagine, I kind of like to start it this way. So imagine the page one of a Google search. If you're, at least use your imagination if you're listening to this in your car, but like if you're sitting at your desk or something, do just a basic Google search and look at page one that comes up. Most people, that's where they're going to stop on a Google search. You'll have 2 or 3 ads at the top. These are Google ads. That's different. You'll have the map listings, but the primary real estate that most marketing companies are pitching are the 10 results that are beneath the maps. All right. And if you look at those 10 results, more often than not, let's say you searched, family lawyer in Charlotte, North Carolina. What you're going to usually find is that out of those 10 results, anywhere from 4 to 6 of those are going to be directories, review sites. So, like Avo, Justia, Yelp, stuff like that, maybe a bar directory or something like that. And then the other 4 to 6, depending on how the numbers come out, those are going to be your law firms. And those are typically going to be much bigger firms. And so the immediate problem that jumps out is, as a solo or a smaller law firm specifically, when you don't really have the bigger marketing budget, you are now competing for anywhere from 1 to 5 or 6 spots on page one, right? You're already competing for page one, but then because of those giant directories and review sites, that real estate is now cut in half. So there's already really, really limited real estate that bigger law firms with bigger marketing budgets are going to be dominating because they have more money to pump into that. So what do? The alternative, and this is what we found, this is what we've really found a lot of success with in the firms that we've worked with, is tap into your existing network. Right. There was a Texas Tech study that was done several years ago, and this was across all industries, but law firms were definitely included in this. And the number was like 80% of your customers are willing to refer business to you, but only about 29% actually do. Now, I'm not a math guy. I went to school for English, so numbers are not my thing. But I feel like what that means is that you can double the number of referrals that you're getting right now, and you still are not maximizing the amount that you're getting. So how do you do that? It's all about staying in touch. And that's one of the big things that we see a lot of law firms failing at, is that they just do not keep in touch with their past clients, with referral sources, with any other sort of strategic relationships that they have. And I get it. Like, lawyers are incredibly busy people, whether you're working on cases, whether you're running your business, it's really easy to just get caught up in all of that and lose track of time. Maybe you're not prioritizing the relationships or referral sources or anything like that. And so I get it. But if your marketing ecosystem is set up so that you don't have to, do all of that on your own, you have a blog being written, you have an email going out, whatever the case is, you have a consistent social media presence. That's how you easily stay top of mind with your network. It's how people know what kind of business that you want to take, what kind of business to refer to you, and all that kind of stuff. I would say that the biggest component of that is the email list. Your email list specifically, whether it's you as the lawyer or just what you have collected in your CRM or whatever the case is, that's one of your biggest marketing assets, and it's probably one of the least used and most underutilized marketing assets that a law firm has. And you don't have to do a ton with it. Just send an email out every single month. And that's what we do for our clients. And every single month, we hear from clients that they're getting multiple requests for business. And it can go several different ways. It could be, I didn't know that you offered that in your firm. This estate planning attorney, you had someone write, you wrote up a last will and testament for someone, and then your email is talking about, a specific type of trust. And it's like, oh, I didn't know that you did that trust. That sounds interesting. That might be something I need in my estate plan. Can you help me with that? Now you got repeat business from past clients. You can send it out an email and, your family lawyer and say, hey, my friend is going through a divorce. This is the lawyer I use. I can refer, that person to you. And now you're getting business that you may not have otherwise gotten had you not been consistently tapping into that list. So yeah, I mean, that's kind of the bigger picture of it. And I think the key to getting started with that is just to be consistent. And you don't have to do a ton. I know, you mentioned all the emails that you get from us or all the social media posts and all that. Like we do a ton, but that's because that's my job.
Sure.
It's my job to create a bunch of content. I mean, I create, I think, close to 200 pieces of content every week spread out across all of our channels. You don't have to do that much. A social media post a day, a blog every month, an email every month, and that's going to create what we call a content loop that creates a lot of touch points, makes sure that you're not forgotten, and ultimately contributes towards, really increasing the amount of referrals that you get.
Yeah. Wow. You said so much there. I want to start with number one, referral sources. Yeah. And really all you have to do is your email database. I can't tell you how many law firms, to your point, are not utilizing email marketing. However, yeah, I will see them spending money on SEO, LSAs, Google AdWords, what have you. And I will come in and say, whoa, time out. Let's go back to your nurture campaign and make certain that you are hitting people that have already called into the office. Because if you keep spending this money and then you do not have a nurture campaign, to your point, creating top of mind awareness, when I have firms that start doing that, I honestly, they can almost shut off some of their paid advertising, because I always say, what do you want? What's success for you? How many leads would you like additionally a month? How many more paying clients would you like? What would be success to you? And when people really break it down, it's not a tremendous amount more than what they're currently doing to start off with. They're not in the depths of the basement where they're, destitute and their phone's not ringing typically. So it's like, okay, let's leverage what's already working for you. And you nailed it. It's referral sources. And a lot of times law firms will make it so overcomplicated. To your point, they don't have a system and a process, which my clients that I serve as a fractional CMO or CEO for, I give them an entire referral management system. Here's the cool thing. It doesn't have to be, the attorney doesn't have to do one thing. They don't have to touch it. You give it to your client service coordinator, you give it to your marketing coordinator. They facilitate all that. And then when you work with whoever's doing your social media, sending out your newsletters, your blogs, what have you, they handle all that for you. So it doesn't have to be something that's led by the attorney, number one. Number two, to your point, I find that law firms will overcomplicate email marketing. I just had this conversation with a firm yesterday, and they're like, we need to start blogging. We need to start putting out a newsletter. I'm like, great. All right, let's export your list, because the CRM they're using does not have the email marketing capability. So you may have to go to something like MailChimp, Constant Contact, Active Campaign, what have you. Well, they were overcomplicating the segregation of their list. I'm like, whoa, time out. If you read your newsletter, if you read your blog, would it speak into the listening? They're like, we can't put existing clients on this list, because I'm like, whoa, why not? That's creating top of mind awareness for them. And guess what? And most of the firms I work with are estate planning. Guess what they do? They forward it to everything to their friends. Hey, did you have a will? Hey, did you know? Especially if you're doing workshops and things of that nature, they share everything on the baby boomers have been trained. They love social media now. They love blogging. They love newsletters, all that. And then I'm like, read this piece of content right now. Would it speak into the listening of existing clients? Maybe you're talking about asset protection right now in this particular piece. but that client only came in for a will 5 years ago. And now their life has completely changed. And so now they might be a viable candidate for asset protection, or for a prospect that maybe called into your office and never came back. They said, let me think about it. And you didn't have client services. You didn't have a follow-up campaign where they followed up with them. Yours, guess what? Referral sources. Let's think of financial advisors, CPAs. If they're reading this, would this speak into their listening? Yeah. So stop overcomplicating it. Like, don't worry about, I'm all for list segregation when it comes time for specific pieces, but for your blog, your newsletter, what have you, why the hell aren't you sending it to everybody?
Yeah. And, I think statistics vary, but I think on average, it costs 5 times more to generate business from like cold leads than it does to market to your own list. And, also to your point, you don't have to make your emails super complicated, and what we do is we pair our blog service with our email newsletters so that we write the blog becomes the featured content for the email newsletter. All of a sudden now that's all you need to have. You can have a section for any announcements or any updates from the firm. That's fine. But you don't need to go out and search for a bunch of irrelevant articles to stuff in there. You don't need to find recipes to stuff in there. That's not what people are coming to you for. They're coming to you for legal knowledge. And here's a easy tip that you get, for people out there that can start implementing immediately. Make the title of your blog the subject line in the newsletter. That way people know what the email is going to be all about. Because here's the thing, like if the subject of your email is Smith Law Firm May newsletter, people may not inherently remember who the Smith Law Firm is, because that's one of the things that a lot of people don't realize. It is so easy to be forgotten these days, especially if, you're being a stereotypical law firm and you're not being really great at keeping up with people. It doesn't matter how much you change someone's life. You could have helped a family preserve so much of their wealth by, moving some things around when someone needed to go into a nursing home or whatever the case is. You could have changed their life. In 6 months, if they have not heard from you and you haven't done anything with them, it's going to be very difficult for them to remember who you were. And they might have to dig through a bunch of documents and try to find it. And then at that point, the opportunity to refer business or whatever the case, it's probably lost at that point. So that's why the email newsletters are so powerful, because it's just that little touch point. And to your point, they forward it to everybody. So even if your blog that month has nothing to do with any particular individual certain situation, you don't know who they know that might be having that situation or who might have that need. And so it's something that's so simple, but can have such profound impacts on your marketing.
Profound. I love that word that you said, because here's the deal. If not you, then somebody else. So if you're not on the top of their feed, on top of their email, what have you, you better believe that the guy down the street, your biggest competition, that every time you see his marketing, you want to throw up because it's so inauthentic, and you're better than they are from a process perspective, your people, everything that you do. Anyone who's listening to this podcast or anyone that hangs out with Spotlight Branding are authentic law firms that are the best at what they do. It's just, I love what you said about even the title of the newsletter. Before I go there, I want to say something, because I hear from attorneys all the time. Oh, no, I don't want to email. I don't want to hit my list that much. I don't want to bother my clients. And I always say, shift your mindset, because somebody's in their email, and it better be you, because you owe it to them to get the right information. Like you said, people hire you for legal knowledge. You will know if you're bothering them when you're looking at your unsubscribe rate every week, and when you look at your click-through rate and your open rate. And lo and behold, even firms that are blogging every single week and hitting their firms, it may be one newsletter a month. So they're hitting on the non-blog week, they're doing a newsletter. They're like, wow, I don't know. I only 23% click through. I'm like, what? That's amazing. Like,
That is amazing. Yes.
they could, they're, how many unsubscribe? Zero. Okay. Well, you're doing something right. And I love what you said
Yeah.
about even this subject line. We all hear subject line is king. I interviewed someone on my podcast last week, and I love what they said. People don't pay for information, they pay for the organization of information. And I love when you said that about the subject line and incorporating the blogs into the newsletter and things of that nature. It really hit me in that manner.
Yeah. And to your point on people getting annoyed, the only reason people get annoyed by email is because a lot of email is not valuable. But if you're creating valuable content, that's not going to annoy people. You're just going to be seen as a resource, and like I said, maybe that one particular blog subject that month doesn't apply to them. That's okay, because you don't know who they know. And I love looking at unsubscribe rate. To me, that's a more important metric than open rate.
Agreed.
Because, especially with all the privacy stuff going on now with email marketing, getting an accurate open rate is a lot more difficult than it used to be. But seeing that unsubscribe rate will at least tell you a little bit more about what your audience is doing and how they feel about everything.
Yeah, exactly. And you nailed it. It's valuable content, and don't over lawyerize it, lawyers that are listening. When I can't tell you how many firms that I work with that start doing email marketing with blogs and newsletter, they're like, oh my goodness, I can't believe how many people are emailing us. Or they'll come in for the consultation and they'll be like, oh, that blog. I had a firm that said that somebody actually printed out their newsletter and brought it in and pointed to the feature article. And they're like, do I need this? Is this what I need? I mean, right?
Yeah, that's awesome. And, to this point, and I love that we've gone down this email tangent, because it's really effective, and it's a lot of good direct correlation into how content, is a good foundational marketing strategy. But I think the question is also, well, what kinds of blogs, what kinds of topics then should you be covering? And that's where we see a lot of times a lot of mistakes get made, because we see SEO companies writing blogs, and maybe they'll write like 20 blogs a week. I've seen like crazy numbers like that, but the blogs are all the same. It's like 3 paragraphs. It's hitting on a specific keyword. The article doesn't even tell you anything. And it's a waste of space on your website. Doesn't provide any value whatsoever. Maybe it's like a current event or something going on. Instead, and this is how you get max value out of your emails, if your blog is the featured content in your email and all of that, make sure that the topics that you're writing on are for the human beings who are going to be hiring your firm. All right. That's the most important thing. Make sure that your content is geared towards the human beings who are going to be hiring you, not the search engine bots that are crawling your website to index it for rankings. But keep that content surface level, right? You don't have to take deep dives into legal topics. Your blogs don't have to be 1,500 words. They don't have to be huge chunks of paragraphs and text and all of that. Keep it surface level. Just address the questions and the concerns and the things that are keeping your audience up at night. That's what's going to help show that not only you're the expert and that you know how to handle whatever, practice area that you're doing, but it creates that connection to show people that you're going to be the guide that's going to help them go from A to B and overcome whatever obstacle that they're facing.
Well said. What I can't tell you how many firms I work with, and they'll have all these blogs that are written from an SEO perspective, et cetera, where they might mention their city or state out of the 1,500 words 1,000 times just from an SEO perspective. I'm like, this is annoying from a reader's perspective. There's no value. You're not speaking into their listening. They don't need to see Dustin, Florida 1,400 times in this article.
Right. And also no one writes like that. No one identifies themselves like that. It's like, hey, Molly, what do you do? I am a Destin, Florida estate planning lawyer. Like no one talks or writes like that. And it's such a bad user experience.
It is. So tell us about your upcoming book.
Yes. So we have recently released our second book. It's called The Ultimate Content Marketing Playbook. And we are giving away free copies of it. So if you would like to grab yours, you can go to spotlightbranding.com/playbook. And it just takes a really deep dive into all the different kinds of content marketing that we've covered today, plus social media, plus podcasting, plus video, all that, and just talks about not only how it can help generate referrals, talks about how it can help you attract the right kinds of clients, how it can help you show off your expertise, but it also gives you a bunch of different ideas, templates to get that started for yourself. So for example, in the blogging section of the book, we actually have this section that provides several different prompts. There's 7, 8, maybe even 10 different practice areas that have, different topics that you can cover. So then you can mix and match. And now all of a sudden you can create a series of blog articles that accomplish what we've talked about here. It's surface level, but it's answering the common questions that your audience has. And then, we also talk about just how to create this whole content marketing ecosystem, create what we call a content loop, which creates a bunch of touch points to your audience, keeps you top of mind. Ultimately, then, like I said, drives those referrals, helps you attract the right kinds of clients, helps you do more of the work that you want to do. So you don't have to potentially be a door lawyer anymore. You don't have to take even certain aspects of your practice area that you don't even like doing, you work with a lot of estate planning lawyers. Maybe you just want to do trusts. If your content, you can create content all about various types of trust. People know you as the trusts lawyer. That's the kind of business that you're going to get. And that's the kind of framework that we build out and kind of talk about a lot of in this book.
Hearing you talk about this playbook, it sounds like it's really a strategic marketing roadmap for a law firm if they just follow the areas in regards to blogging, podcasting, what have you, if they even adopt just what you have framed out and laid out within this book. That alone,
Yeah.
and if you just stay focused on that, will support you with growing your practice.
Yeah, and I would say, look, if you've been frustrated with your marketing, you are tired of dealing with marketing companies, they never seem to give you what they promise, maybe just the quality of leads is never good or anything, I would highly recommend you look at switching over to a content strategy, at least at first. Build a content foundation. And then once you have that ecosystem in place, then maybe you can go back. And if you're really interested in doing more paid search, paid ads, whatever the case is, then you can add that back to it, because what you'll find is that content and a content marketing strategy helps things like that convert at a better rate, because now you have
Absolutely.
Engaging content, you're creating that connection that when people do end up landing on your page, it helps that convert a lot better, because people can better understand who you are and how you can help.
Oh, well said. Well, I couldn't agree more. I know that. I see firms that start deploying a content strategy and have it consistent and persistent, and taking a look at their metrics and their open rate, their unsubscribe rate, all that. And they know right away. I mean, truly, I'm not lying, when they have clients that are coming in with printouts of their blog and their newsletter, or calling immediately after a blog goes out and say, how did you know? We were just talking about this at the Thanksgiving dinner, or whatever it might be. So law
Right.
firms, now is the time, because if not you, then who? And we want it to be you, not the guy or gal down the street that makes you cringe every time you turn the corner and see their billboard.
Right. Exactly. And kind of the last point I'll make here. We just live in a culture right now where people want to work with the expert. And I heard this quote. I don't know who said it, but it said the best cases go to the best marketers. And right now, the best marketers are the ones who do the best job at exemplifying their expertise. And the best way to really show off your expertise is through a dedicated content strategy. So that's where things are headed. And if you kind of sit around and kind of let it go past, it's going to be very easy to get left behind.
Absolutely. Oh, John Hinson of Spotlight Branding, thank you for being our guest today. We are going to have in the show notes how to stay connected with John via LinkedIn, how to get a copy of the playbook. Again, we'll have the link of spotlightbranding.com and then playbook. We're going to have it in there. I will have the link. You can opt in and download your copy. And by all means, if anybody wants to maybe hop on a call with you or what have you, what's the best way to reach you?
Yeah, I absolutely encourage that. We don't charge for free advice or anything like that, but you can absolutely just send me an email, John, JOHN @spotlightbranding.com. If you forget that, just go to the spotlightbranding.com website, hit the contact form, and just write up your question, and I will absolutely get back to you. I love having these sorts of conversations with people.
Okay, great. We'll have John's email in the show notes as well. John, thank you so much for your time today. And thank you for continuing to be a leader leading leaders in the legal marketing space.
Thank you so much for having me. I really enjoyed it.
Oh, indeed. We've reached the end of another impactful conversation on the Hire and Empower podcast. Whether this was your first episode or you're a longtime listener, I know you can tell I have passion for people. Whether you're a business owner, employee, executive, or hiring manager, I understand the situation you're in. Hiring, onboarding, and leadership is expensive, exhausting, overwhelming, and if that's not enough, it's also time-consuming. My friends, it doesn't have to be this way. There is a team at H&E that has your back. For over 25 years, they've transformed over 4,000 law firms into efficient, effective, profitable assets for their business and made it fun to come to work again. Check out our Smart Hire solution, our employee leadership program, and the 66-day law firm turnaround at hiringandempowering.com.